It was dark and misty. In the wind of the moonlit night of the two trains they were waiting for when they were getting back. One misty night, a green steam engine named 28 was pulling some old Ford scrap cars. He was pulling an old coach, one old caboose, an old freight car, and some passengers. But the bone ones, the ones that died. 20 was meant to take them to the scrapyard when he heard an unfamiliar whistle he ever heard before. 28 stopped at a crossing gate. There was nothing there. But suddenly, 28 gasped when he saw a random train popping out of nowhere, shrieking like a lost soul. There was a ghost train popping after him. He was a ghost train. Then 28 began to back up carefully past the crossing gate as the mysterious engine came through. 28 kept backing up still as the engine got closer and closer to the crossing gate. The engine. Suddenly 28 stopped. The engine disappeared again. The ghost engine was named 29. There was no other train around. The 29 ghosts disappeared out of nowhere. Two old engines right there was the 18 and the 19, and they were the old scrap engines because they had scrap all over them. But 28 kept going through the crossing gate still, hoping he would never hear that mysterious whistle again. But he would hear it again. Just in about 10 minutes later, 28 comes into the station to the scrapyard to scrap the old freight cars, to scrap the cars he was meant to take. He stopped and decoupled the cars he decoupled, and he left the blue coach behind. He left the blue coach behind and a caboose. There was meant to be passengers in there. So, 28 took the old two coaches with him, but there was also meant to be a coach with it. Soon after later, 28 began to actually take the old boxcar with him, to take it to the front and take his two coaches with him for passengers. No passengers came at the station, but a BNSF freight train had to leave the yard for a misty night. Sometimes they say when there's a misty night, a ghost train comes through. But no ghost train came, as they thought there was. But there was. Around the bend right there was a tender engine, looking for an engine to mysterious look for. As a BNSF freight train was about to come through, he stopped and saw something on his track, and he went through the crossing gate and stopped. there around the corner was a ghost train popping into the mist, shrieking like a lost soul. Once he got closer, the ghost train disappeared again. Venusif looked. No other train was there. It was silent. Venusif waited there still, but no train came still. But Venusif was wondering why the crossing gates at the first track were down. Probably because there was a nearby train somewhere, but the crossing gates went up. The gates went up for the first track. But Venusif was still scared and he thought he saw a ghost train somewhere. He looked back around. He didn't see anything else. All he didn't see was anything. With that matter, Venusif took off with its freight train again, hoping he wasn't being followed by a ghost train. As Venusif freight train came through the crossing gates, Venusif remembered he saw a ghost train around here, but there wasn't a single train here. Only except a small steam engine with carrying baggage car, two coaches, and a caboose. It was just a steam train 28. Some say when the moon, there was no ghost train anymore, but the ghost train was nowhere to be seen. There was only just two engines, just pulling one small freight train, was just pulling one small passenger train, with nothing with it, with nothing. To this day, the steam engine is still looking for his to be continued. The ghost train disappeared again when he popped it through before the 28 came through. The 28's engine was carrying one baggage car, two coaches, with one caboose. Venusif heard something. Venusif stopped after he came through the last car. Venusif stopped, but the 28 did not. He didn't hear anything, except he just kept on going. Again, Venusif went off again. But that sound again was coming out of nowhere. But as you and I know, strange things happen on Halloween. It was all silent still as Venusif came into the yard with his cars, with his mixed freight. He came into the yard with his mixed freight. He came into the yard with his freight cars, but there was no train again. It was all silent. It was all silent again. As Venusif came into the yard, the 28 came in with his own train. There were two scrap engines right here, was the 18 and the 20 actually. And every year on the date of the accident, it runs again, shrieking like a lost soul. And every year on the date of the accident, it runs again as a warning to others. Shrieking like a lost soul. The ghost train came out. Some say when the moon is full, the ghost train runs again as a warning to others. He was saying these last words. I'm gonna send you all. The ghost train had a demon. Timothy, the 29 engine, was a ghost train. He had a demon in him. It was mind controlling him. When Timothy derailed off the tracks, and Timothy was never seen again. Timothy was lifted back onto the tracks. But every year on the date of the accident, Timothy runs again as where he derailed when there was a crack on the tracks. He runs again as a warning to others, shrieking like a lost soul. As 28 was getting ready to get going, 29 of Timothy, Timothy, the number 29 engine, rolled into the station, figuring out because Timothy was after the green engine. Then Timothy backed up. 28 began to get going. Timothy ran away as fast as he could. And actually, Timothy was after number 28. Timothy was after 28. Right behind 28 was Timothy the ghost train. 28 took off. So did Timothy, falling right behind him, pushing him. But 28 got surprised when he saw Timothy. Timothy had red eyes. He had the demon was right behind him. 28 began to run off still with his coaches, but Timothy was never leaving him alone. Timothy ran again after 28. Timothy's after me! Timothy was after 28 again, shrieking like a lost soul of Timothy, losing out of control after 28. Timothy was after 28 still, as 28 came into the station, running away from the ghost train. Timothy was still after him. 20 ran away as fast as he could without Timothy noticing him. But Timothy knew he heard clickety clacking, and it was 28 still. 28 ran away as fast as he could, but Timothy was catching up to him. All was silent until Timothy came away, but it was not silent anymore. 28 derailed off the tracks. Timothy was after him. 28 derailed off the tracks, and Timothy was right behind him. Timothy was now after him. 28 ran on without his coaches again, and Timothy began to couple up. 28 ran off again, but Timothy now had the coaches. with the passengers he used to take. 28 ran away as fast as he could get away from Timothy. And Timothy puffed it off again. Warning to the steam engine of the number 29. But 29 was in danger. But 29 was in trouble now. "29 was nowhere to be seen.